I'm sitting at a pret-a-manger, drinking a matcha oat latte, and I think that's our flight. It's an hour delayed. We're flying into Atlanta, and then from there spending the night, picking up our rental car, and driving to Alabama, which is actually only 3.5 hours away from Atlanta Airport. But a little bit of a delay, but that's fine. We're doing some work here, which is great. And yeah, I'm excited to head back. I have not been back to my home country since 2019. So this is very exciting for me. I'm a bit nervous. I am actually a bit nervous. Anyway, can't wait to see you guys in America. Look at our rental car. We have a Ford Mustang. I cannot believe it. It's all very exciting. And I think we'll be able to take the hood down at some point today. So let's get on those amazing American highways. We are making our first pit stop. And I'm taking Luke to a Cracker Barrel. He was like, what is a Cracker Barrel? And I was like, you need to experience a Cracker Barrel. So, oh my gosh, here we go. So exciting. Look at this. I can't wait for Luke to see this. Oh my gosh. I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel in probably like 20 years. Look at these amazing chairs, these rocking chairs. So cool. Here, I'll wave to everybody. Oh my gosh, beyond exciting. Why am I so excited about this? I have no idea, but I really am. Here we are, Cracker Barrel at its best. It's a country store. And you can eat here as well. We're not gonna do any shopping. Look at this. I mean, you gotta love a Cracker Barrel. We were driving and I saw it off of the highway and he was like, what is a Cracker Barrel? And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to experience a Cracker Barrel. So comment down below. Many of you know about Cracker Barrel. Like, it's amazing. So I need to get your reaction, but I have they've obviously upped their menu to offer a lot of vegetarian options. So before I became vegetarian, which is probably in like my college days, I would come to a Cracker Barrel and always get the biscuits and gravy. But now they have biscuits and gravy with impossible meat, so like a vegan meat option. And that's what I just got. And I ordered a side of grits. I mean, unbelievable. And I've got a decaf coffee here, like a good old just filtered decaf American coffee. I'm in heaven. How are you feeling?
And I was so excited to be able to order my eggs over easy, because that is not an expression we have in the UK.
That's right.
Yeah. And also to get some fried apples with my eggs. That's exciting. That's exotic.
We're very excited right now. Beyond excited. I have grits. I have my biscuits and vegan sausage here. And Luke, you've got biscuits and gravy here. Amazing.
That's like scones.
Oh my gosh, they're so
but that
delicious.
is a gravy. Apparently it's got pork in it. And then I've got my apple and my sausage and my very important mustard. Let's get eating.
Let's get eating. So excited. Oh my God, look at all this cream soda. I'm gonna have to buy one. Buy one, get 50% off. Beyond vanilla cream soda. What? Oh my God, orange and cream soda. This is insane. I'm getting a cream soda, everybody. Oh my God, they have a whatchamacallit. Oh my God, I grew up on whatchamacallit. What? No. Oh God, Heath bars. Okay, I'm coming back here. I'm gonna have to get something. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is insane. Kettle cooked fudge, pecan roll, maple nut goodies. This is crazy. We have arrived. That is the big tent where the event will be happening. Welcome to Alabama, y'all. I've been surrounded by a lot of y'alls recently. We've just landed here into Alabama. The nearest, I guess, town is Camden, Alabama, about a good 20 minutes drive. And Luke and I are the guest speakers for a big event here tonight. It's the Wilcox Historical Society Tour of Homes 2025. And they have asked us to speak about Mapperton and about our YouTube channel and about our restoration projects that we've been doing there, about the Alberta Research Project. The list goes on and on. And can I also just add how nice it is to see the sun, and it's March. I mean, incredible. We don't have this weather in March in England, do we, Luke?
We certainly do not, but this morning it was nippy. I mean, we woke up this morning and it was
cold. I went for a run, it was so cold. Yeah, there was
frost
frost.
on the ground.
It's frost. Now it's so warm. We're so looking forward to this evening, and we're staying at a wonderful house here that was built, I think it's in 1880, it's on the sign there, 87, something, 86, 87, I can't remember, because as you go along the road here, there's other different houses. Some are antebellum houses, some are a little bit later, but they have their date on them, and they're magnificent. So I'm gonna go sit in one of the rockers, which I've been dying to do all day, before we get dressed up for this evening, where we're gonna be mingling with about 400 guests, which is fantastic. Really excited. Should I go rock, Luke?
Let's go do some rocking.
I love it. We've landed at Lance's historic house and your family's historic house.
Yes.
And this is, I mean, I had to admit, we've done a sneak peek inside, and then Luke said, "Can we film this, Lance?" And you said yes. So we're going to give you a tour of your home.
Sure.
And can you tell us just a little bit more about the provenance of this home?
Absolutely. This is Magnolia Glen, built in 1833. It is the first wood frame home built in this area of Wilcox County. So what you're seeing is virgin cut heart pine timber. All the windows are period. We haven't replaced anything. They've all just been reglazed. The doors are original. It's in a relatively pristine state. It has been recreated to the 1860 period.
Okay.
Built in 1833.
Right.
They became successful planter class.
Yep.
Upgraded. We found the inventory of the house in New York. And so off that inventory, we've been able to recreate the interiors very much like they looked around 1860.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but when did your family purchase this property?
My parents purchased it in 92,
Okay.
1992, and it was in a terrible state of disrepair. It was
Okay.
racked. We couldn't stand here because the porch floor had rotted out.
Right. And the roof? 'Cause that's
Roof was rough.
Right.
And there were so many windows that had just fallen out that rain had been coming in for years. So originally we had to climb through an open chimney, like through an open fireplace into the side of the house because there's no porch floor. And funny story, my parents did all the restoration themselves over 25 years.
Oh my goodness.
They lived 4 hours away. And
No.
they committed to the previous owner that they would bring it back.
Right.
And so the two of them did it themselves.
All of what we're about to see. That's what's
Everything.
extraordinary.
Everything. They put a new foundation under the house themselves, drug cinder blocks under the house. My father's an aerospace engineer, so he was able to use his skills as a mathematician. My mother said she just drug a lot of cinder blocks under the house.
Right.
And so they would do like 3 to 4 piers a weekend while they were doing other projects, and they did 77 piers under the house. They refinished the floors. They did all the repair work. They installed the plumbing and the electrical. There was nothing. When they got here, there was nothing left. And the funniest story is at the end of the hall, there used to be this very primitive bathroom from long ago. And Mom was taking the toilet out.
Right.
And the floor collapsed. And Dad heard it. And he came running in and she said, "Don't worry, honey." She's like, "I'm okay," and her head was sticking out of the floor. It was an amazing, funny, par for the course story.
Right.
You know, which is hilarious in retrospect. And Dad said he came in and there she was, just from about this far up.
Too bad we didn't have YouTube back then, because I'm sure we would have loved to watch that journey over 25 years.
25 years,
Right.
and that would have been a great highlight reel, I'm sure.
Right. And as a young boy, do you remember your parents?
I was
working?
freshman year in high school. Freshman year in college when they purchased it.
Right. Okay.
Came down to help Dad. He said, "I need some help down at the farm." They just called it the farm. I'd never been here. I said, "Okay." What I didn't realize is there was no plumbing, there was no electric, and the reason he needed me is we had to dig 1,000-foot water line through the woods to connect to the county's water. The county didn't bring water to the house because it was in such a state of disrepair. They thought it was going to be torn down.
Oh,
So
so they just said, "We're not going to connect." Right.
Right.
And you're like,
What's the point?
"We're actually going to
So-
restore
right.
this, so
Yeah.
we need some water."
So Dad rented a
1,000
tractor.
foot.
1,000 foot. The problem is we were going through the woods, so the tractor couldn't go everywhere it needed
Right.
to go. So there was a lot of hand digging. I swore to myself I would find summer school, trips to Europe in the summer. So that was the only summer I spent here in college. The other 3 summers I was very busy. And I was very academic in summer. I became very academic during the summertime. Until we had plumbing and electric. Then it was okay.
Lance, you've also got the most magnificent magnolia in the grounds. Tell us a little bit about that tree and why it's so special.
The reason the house is named Magnolia Glen is because 300 plus years ago, a magnolia started to grow in a valley on the property.
Right.
At the time, it was just a valley, and the tree started, and as we've been told, Indians were on the land when that tree first came up. Over time, once it was mature, a creek started to run,
Okay.
based, I think, on just, topography and how erosion works. A creek started to run right beside the tree and exposed all the roots. So it's a natural root bridge now. And the arborists tell us the tree had to be fully grown before the creek even started, or it would have killed the tree because all the roots were exposed now.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating.
That's
It's a
yeah.
fascinating
I mean,
tree.
we
People
just
come
saw-
from all over to see it.
Yeah.
And Lance, the other extraordinary thing here about the story of your parents' restoration is also your contribution to this house and all the work that you've done to identify appropriate period furniture and furnishings, and that must have been just a really fun thing to do.
That was the fun part. I got the fun. I'm in the antique business, which is great, but the house, the hard work was done. The hard work was totally done. And so with my family, with my parents in conjunction, we were able to find period pieces based off that original inventory that was done in 1850. My mother is a French hand sewing specialist, which is remarkable. Has been trained in French hand sewing.
Oh my gosh.
And so all the fabrics you'll see in the house, all the draperies, all the bed draperies, she's actually sewn by hand.
Right.
Over a course of really 10 years. We would identify fabrics and things that would have been appropriate.
Well,
for
should we have a?
1850.
Should we have a?
And,
Sure.
and
look
have you
in?
got some particular favorite pieces? I bet you do.
Yeah. Let's point those out.
Absolutely. Y'all come on
Come on in.
in.
This is amazing.
So this is the formal receiving parlor as you would have seen it in 1850. And we know that it had an 8-piece parlor suite in it.
And this is from the inventory that you found.
that we
Is right?
found, and we knew it was in golds. And so that's what the basis of this room was. Fortunately, my mother had helped find fabrics for this suite of furniture for a dear friend of hers. It had always been in a home in Memphis, Tennessee. We even have the shipping receipts from where it came up the port of New Orleans to here. And my mother said casually to her, "If you ever decide to part with this, please let us know. We would love to put it here at Magnolia Glen." About 12 years later, she gets a phone call, and here it is. And it's the same number of pieces in the right fabrics. Even the ottomans are part of the suite. So, and it's all stayed intact. So it's
Yeah.
an amazing suite of early American furniture that stayed intact.
Yeah.
This is where we received our guests. Gasoliers were all the rage at the time.
Look at that.
So this is a period gasolier and bookcase that was part of this suite as well. So this suite came from one house in Memphis to here, and it stayed intact.
Right.
The two owners, which is rare.
Yeah.
Very, very rare. And we're very thankful they were willing to share that with us and share its history so that we can share it with us.
Yeah, no.
And-
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I see a chapel through there?
You can see a chapel through here.
Oh my goodness. Of course, we see chapels in the UK.
Absolutely.
Either in the house, in some of the stately homes, or they're nearby, but I've never really, this is not common, is it?
It's not. In fact, this is the only documented chapel original to a home of this period in the state of Alabama, and one of the few in the southeastern United States. This is how it appeared when they built the house. There was question for a number of years about whether it was done later, but what we found out through records is they brought this mantle with them from Virginia.
Okay.
And because it's very large for this room, and we have two different accounts of how they brought it with them for this space so that it could flank, so the Gothic windows could flank it.
Right.
And then they had the carved angels done. So it is an original room, and they worshipped here, we know, from 1833 to around 1870.
Okay.
They had weddings here. We have a wedding bodice here to kind of represent that. And we put the founding fathers and some of the McKinney and Hall Indians on the wall because this family originated from Virginia. One of them fought in the Revolutionary War under George Washington.
Right.
So that would have been a part of its fabric.
Okay.
And then this was the Creek area of Indian territory in Alabama, and we were able to acquire those McKinney and Halls to kind of bring that part of the history together as well.
Absolutely.
Again, all the furniture is from homes here in Alabama that have historic provenance, and we have our founding fathers because those were the rock stars of the day.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. There's Benjamin Franklin
yeah,
there.
Franklin, Jefferson, George.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Madison and Monroe over the door because these were Virginians. And if one thing we know about American history, Virginians are very proud of our founders, as we are.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Beautiful, incredible.
Really unusual room.
Wow. Okay, should we head
We'll head
here?
through here. This would have originally been just a back porch.
Okay.
In the 1920s, they wanted to connect the original kitchen to the house.
Okay.
Original kitchens were always out there for fire purposes. So they created a dining room space around 1920. That's why you'll see us lower in the ceilings. You don't see the heart pine anymore because it wasn't here. This was all cotton at that time.
Right.
So there were no more big pine trees. So that's why you see a kind of a textural difference.
Yes.
And that's why we have like a 20s chandelier. We want to represent that period from the change.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now you'll see our peeps.
That's great because
It's
you
our
live
work
here.
here. We live here.
This is brilliant.
This is my home.
Yeah.
Every day, this is where we cook and eat. You'll hear my dog whining in the background.
Yes.
And this was the original kitchen.
Okay.
The floors are original. You'll see the two chimney holes where they had chimneys originally here.
Goodness, yeah.
And this is how all the windows look like in the house when it was built in 1833.
Okay.
It was strange, 9/6, very unusual. So we have two left.
Yes.
And the rest of them were changed in 1850-ish, keeping up with the Joneses. Our next door neighbor, where you're going to be speaking, Wakefield, built a grand, beautiful home.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well,
their windows were what?
grand.
Right.
Like we see in the front.
Right.
And their door surround was beautiful. And so this family hired their carpenter, took all the windows out of the house, had them replicated to be the same as Wakefield. And the door is the same as Wakefield.
Right.
Funny story, 2 years ago, another English lady came over, Lady Carnarvon, and our drapes didn't arrive in time for Wakefield. It was also at Wakefield. And so I just pulled the ones out of our windows and carried them down there. We had never tested the theory. It was last minute. We put them up. After the event was over, I looked at the homeowner, Sylvia, and I said, you realize we didn't even have to change the rods. So they are literally these same windows. We just took them out and put them in. At the moment, I was just, we have to have drapes.
Yes.
And
it worked.
It worked. So that story that has been told for years is actually true.
Right. How extraordinary.
Last, if you were going to choose a bedroom here, which one would you
It's the
choose?
dark bedroom.
It's got to be the dark
It's
bedroom.
got to be the dark bedroom.
Got to
We
be
have to
okay.
see this.
Should we go back up
we
those
just go
stairs?
back up?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Just stunning. And so
But we live here.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what's so wonderful. And you eat here. And
Eat here. This is the only table in the house. You eat here. Not the most comfortable chairs. You don't sit long in these. They're lovely, but you don't sit long.
How wonderful. So this
It's the original staircase.
It is.
And it would have come off the back porch at almost every house in this area.
I see.
So this was an open porch.
So this was an open porch with no door.
No door. There would have been a door at the top for bugs and birds.
Yes.
But almost all the houses here have this configuration.
I can picture it.
Yeah,
I can
it was
picture
a functional home.
Yes.
It was a farmhouse.
Oh, fun. Well, if you wanted to stay out late,
This was
down
not the staircase.
Yeah, exactly. Look at. I mean, and the 4-poster bed.
4-poster bed. This was
Wonderful.
they had one daughter, the original family, so we created this as kind of a girl's room.
Okay.
And I would have made the bed if we'd done that.
It's wonderful. Yeah, we surprised Lance. We're like, can we film? So come on in. We're coming into, you describe this as the dark bedroom.
We call it
is
the
that
dark bedroom for obvious
Yeah.
reasons. This is original heart pine timbers, never been painted. And again, just through change of style and life, everyone painted at some point. We're just blessed this one has never been painted. I wish you could smell the room.
Yeah, I know, because it's 200 years.
200
Yeah.
years old, and it still smells like it was cut last week.
And they're just, all of them, I mean, these are huge.
They're like 24 feet long, which is crazy. And you see the width of them. But these were virgin cut timber. I mean, the trees were who knows how huge when they cut them. And
you can see that in some places the steel cut nails.
In fact, I see one hanging out of the ceiling over Luke's head. So if you get hit, you'll know what happened. They fall out. I mean, we have little piles everywhere we keep them. But it's fascinating that it's never been altered, with the exception of in 1926.
Okay.
You'll see this black char on the wall.
Yes, and a black door there,
And
or a black
hole.
Well, a black hole.
We call
I
it the
should say
black hole.
yeah.
It's been a great debate if we do anything with black hole. In 1926, some boys were playing up here and they dropped a kerosene lantern. The kerosene, obviously, it's a heart pine room, caught on fire, ran up the wall, burned a hole in the wall and up the ceiling, and they rang the bell out back, and the community rallied. And they must have rallied fast because this is all wood.
it's all wood.
This is kindling, basically.
And they saved it
And they
without
saved it.
obviously
Without
being able to attach
Yeah,
to.
this is buckets and
Right,
sand
right,
and dirt
yes.
and whatever you can throw at it.
And Lance, how long did it take you to find all the pieces in the house? Has that been a sort of multi-decade thing?
Absolutely.
Or?
It took Mom and Dad 25 years to finish the hard part, the restoration and first iteration of it, which was probably primitive, probably similar to the 1833 iteration, which was a little more primitive. And then we collectively talked about, once we found the inventory, we should do our best to bring it back. I've been in the business anyway, so it kind of worked.
Right.
And so I could look for things that maybe were unique for this property, but it took, I'd say, 10 to 12 years.
And this is all American furniture.
All American. A few of the rugs are
I noticed an
Aubusson,
Aubusson or two,
which they did ship from the ports
Shipped
of Mobile.
over, of course.
I mean, you know,
Right.
if you go to Natchez, Mississippi, you'll see them everywhere.
Really?
Oh, very much. You know, because they still have a lot of historic, intact homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll see Aubussons, and they have several that are documented from the 1840s that were brought up the port. We had two big ports in the South: Mobile for Alabama and New Orleans, which isn't terribly far from here either.
Right now.
So we had access to some of the finer
to
goods.
importing them quite easily and
Europe.
transporting them.
We focus mainly on American and primarily on local or regional. In fact, I'd say 70% of what you see in the house, including this chest, that wash basin, and that table, came from just 7 miles down the road.
Right.
And so we were fortunate. We found 60% of the furniture in one house.
Right.
And it always lived 7 miles down the road. It
So
had
it
been
was
moved
local.
to Florida. It had all been moved to Florida intact. But we happened to get in contact. We were able to reacquire it, and we brought it home.
Right.
Because it had always been here.
Now, the Victorians in the UK were great collectors, as you know,
Yes.
and always interested in curiosities. I've spotted a curiosity in the corner here, which looks like a whaling harpoon.
It is a whaling harpoon, and it is very unique. My mother felt this was a we wanted this to be a male space.
Yes.
And she found these great pieces of seafair, and
Yeah.
she ran across the harpoon, and she's like, it has to be in the dark. I said, it is. And I get lots of questions about it. No, they were not seafaring people.
No.
We have no record of that, but Mother
But it's
thought
a curiosity.
It was fascinating.
Yes.
Curiosity, and she said boys would love this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's good.
Absolutely love it.
Lance, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
showing us
for
your
coming.
home.
We're
It's
so
just
glad to have you.
wonderful.
What a treat. I mean, absolute treat. This is inside our house that we're staying, built in 1886. I mean, just beautiful. They've literally decorated this beautifully, and it does have a good modern feel to it as well. Cue the TV. Wow. And then, hopefully you can see, this is the master bedroom. Here I am there. And they've left us the most beautiful goodie bag. I mean, all Alabama, everything. I mean, I'm going to have to dig through it to let you guys know, but wow. I mean, absolutely stunning. They have left us so many amazing goodies, and these are all handmade here locally. Cheese straws. I just had one of these biscuits. Delicious. And then I've made myself a cup of tea because I had a choice between Lady Grey a la creme black tea or Earl Grey. You gotta love it. I'm gonna try that one later, Elderberry Fortress herbal tea, but right now I'm having that and a banana because there's lots of fruit, and we've got Georgia peanuts, some chocolate, more peanuts, and look at this, local beer. I mean, doesn't get better than that, America style.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for supporting the Peacock Tapestry fundraiser. Can you believe it? We are nearly there. We are at 85% of the goal. That means just 15% more to go. So do please check out buymeacoffee.com/Julie J. Montague and donate what you can. We hugely appreciate it. I can't believe we're so close, and it's all because of you guys. Thank you.
Just under there is where Luke and I are staying. It was built in 1886. And then this is for the event this evening. They're figuring out some AV bits right now. And yeah, about 300 people here. And the tent on the other side of this big marquee, is where we're having a lunch tomorrow. I'm going to show you that. And then you can see our house. Isn't it great? I'm going to zoom in. Look at that. I mean, it's beautiful around here. I've never been to Alabama, and now I've been here for about a few hours, and I want to come back. So that's where the lunch will be tomorrow. And this is Wakefield. I mean, isn't it just gorgeous? So you can go in and have a tour. But they're doing some preparations for it. But before the event, people come and have a tour, the big event, and then it happens here. Beyond exciting. He's coming to pick me up. Wait! Wait for me! just about to meet our patrons. So many have you come over here to Alabama to hear us speak here for the Wilcox Historical Society Tour of Homes. And we're so excited to meet so many of them for the first time here at the Peacock. I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you who have traveled so far. Just hearing stories about how some of you have managed to get here, so it's quite a feat. We thought coming from London was long distance, but some of you have even traveled a little bit further as far as hours. So thank you all so much, and we also just really appreciate your support through Patreon, whether that's American Countess, now that it is, or Mapperton Live, but also I have some transcribers here as well from the Alberta Research Project, and we're thrilled that you are here. And I'm going to let Luke say something in a second, but I just wanted to mention that the cocktails that we have tonight, many of you know from probably one of the posts on American Countess, is a special Gilded Age heiress cocktail. And I was just talking to Elisa about it. They had to source the ingredients to find to make this perfect, but you were really pleased with it, weren't you? You said it tasted
yes, y'all. We might have been too pleased.
Yeah.
We tested it last night. It was delicious.
So
what's in it?
Your recipe.
Well, it's the gin and
the aster sugar.
Yeah. Because you just made it.
Soda water with the aster sugar melted,
and the bitters,
and then
Astorga.
Yeah,
Angostura.
Yeah.
Okay, Angostura bitters.
Yeah.
I just went exactly.
Wow. So
that's awesome.
And the cocktail is on us, by the way.
Thank you.
You don't need to buy one.
Yeah, and also if you don't want this and you want another cocktail, if there's something else there behind the bar, you can have anything else. So we just want to treat you all to cocktails and some nibbles tonight, and to say thank you very, very much. We're looking forward to tomorrow.
Are you all coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be there. Fantastic.
Great.
So we've got a home team.
Yes.
Because we won't know anybody at all. So that will be brilliant. Yeah. And I discovered something rather wonderful on the way here, which is that I have some Alabama blood.
Yes.
Which is that my great-grandmother, Alberta, who many of you know, her grandparents were married in
Mobile, did I say it the right way?
Mobile, Alabama.
In 1854, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that counts.
It does count.
Sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah, when we
That's
took,
okay.
yeah,
I was wondering why it felt so homey.
morning jog here in Alabama, and it's just absolutely extraordinary to be running past these amazing, many of them antebellum houses. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm Forrest Gump, you know, when he was running and all across America, and many of the places he was running, it was very remote. That's what I feel like. I'm a huge jumper on because it's much colder than I thought it was going to be. So I'm borrowing Luke's Patagonia to keep me warm until I warm up. But what a spectacular day. Also, if you're part of the Patreon community, I will be uploading my run playlist for you if you're interested in starting to run, or if you're already running. I thought you guys might like to listen sometimes to what motivates me as I run through the wilds of Alabama. I quickly stopped my run because I've auto-paused Strava, because we were told to come to this cemetery called Palmer Cemetery. And it's, I think, rather special. And some of the tombstones here go all the way back to the Revolutionary War, or if you're in Britain, we call it the War of Independence. And it's open, and I'm going to be very mindful to take care, just to I think, give a bit of gratitude to many of the people who are buried here. So, yeah, wow, what a special place we are at here in Alabama. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined how wonderful, a spectacular, beautiful this place is. I'm just coming back from my run. You can see they are getting ready for the lunch, which is for about 70 people. And I'll be speaking there with Luke. I need to go shower, but it's a beautiful day. Sorry for the jiggity camera. It's because I'm on my run. And then there we are. And I love it that all these houses have their signs. So this is called Little House 1885. Woo! Did it, everybody.
This is the house where we're giving the talk, and we have the lunch. You can see the marquees on the left, everything getting ready. People here for parking. Somebody delivering some sand. That's the big house of our host. And this is the smaller house where we're staying, which is right next door. And it's still large and very comfortable. This one was built in the 1880s, the other I think in the 1850s, and obviously part of plantation that no longer exists, but lots of forests, lots of wonderful Spanish moss hanging from the trees, and lots of huge magnolias everywhere. Look, you can see some of the moss over there. And coming into the house, here we are, very comfortable, quite recently renovated and full of a mix of kind of modern furniture and Victorian American antiques. Down through here. This is our dining room, another of the bedrooms, another bathroom at the back, little deck area with the barbecue and the kitchen, and then Julie's having a lovely shower at the back, and this is where it goes out into the woods. And Julie went off for a run somewhere down there this morning and bumped into a deer. And it's actually warming up. There was frost on the ground this morning, but it's now really warm, so huge temperature ranges. Anyway, lots of love to everybody. I don't know what's in here. It might be a little chapel. There are chapels and Baptist churches absolutely everywhere. In fact, I would say there are more churches. Oh no. Oh. It's a little sort of summer house or something. Not really sure what's going on in here. Lots of cleaning stuff. Anyway, we better go and get ready because it's all about to happen.
We have just finished our meet and greet photo shoot, and it was just so lovely to meet so many people from really around the country. And now we're heading into the luncheon for lunch and a few remarks, and then of course our big speech is tonight. So this is kind of 70 people here, and yeah, very, very exciting.
So thank all of you for being here, and it is my great pleasure, very great pleasure, to introduce to you Luke and Julie Montague, officially the Earl and Countess of Sandwich, and let's welcome them to the stage here in Wilcox County.
Yes, you might be seeing this on our YouTube channel later. But I just want to say a huge thank you, especially for me, the American, coming back to the U.S. was a real treat 2 nights ago. I haven't been back since 2019, and that's partly due because of the pandemic, and then of course it's also because I have family and they all want to
What a joy and a pleasure it is to introduce our 2 guest speakers who have come to us, as I said, from England, and have been an absolute delight to get to know over the last 2 days. We've had an array of speakers and wonderful people come and visit with us in Wilcox County. I can honestly say I've never had anyone as interested when they got out of their car at the Furman post office. Impressive. And they were just kind of parked there at the corner, and I met them, and we went on a driving tour, and then we saw some trees and some houses, and all of a sudden they were like, "Can we shoot a video?" I was like, "Well, let's shoot a video." And then I was like, let me make my bed. 'Cause although my mother might scold me if she sees that on the internet, and I'll throw these t-shirts on the floor, and we'll go from there. Absolutely been a joy. For those of you at the luncheon, I know you felt that as well. And I gotta tell you, I got a sneak peek of the presentation, and it's wonderful. But the official introductions, Mrs. Julie Montague, the 12th Countess of Sandwich, is a historian and presenter known for bringing British heritage to life. She starred in An American Aristocrat's Guide to Great English Estates on the Smithsonian Channel, and hosts the YouTube series, The American Viscountess. I had to learn how to pronounce that correctly, by the way. Sharing insights into the UK's historic houses. Julie holds a master's in country house studies and leads the Alberta Research Project focused on American heiress Alberta Sturgis Montague, the 9th Countess of Sandwich. She also plays a key role in managing Mapperton House with her husband Luke. Luke, the 12th Earl of Sandwich, is an entrepreneur who now spends most of his time managing his family's country estate and the historic house at Mapperton in West Dorset. After graduating from Columbia University in New York, Luke founded a series of technology, education, and media businesses. In 2003, he co-founded the Met Film School, which he led as CEO until 2009. Luke was chair of the trustees for the Dalai Lama Center for Compassion from 2016 to 2022, a charity which develops programs supporting kindness in schools. He is currently chair of trustees of West Dorset Wildling, a charity which promotes rewilding and nature recovery. He also co-founded Living History Films with his wife, Julie. Living History Films produces the successful YouTube channels Mapperton Live and American Viscountess, celebrating British country houses and estates. And I cannot be more proud and honored to welcome them to our stage tonight.
And it's just incredible for us to have this community, and we so appreciate them, and we keep them up to date with everything that goes on at Mapperton. Kindly mentioned Alberta. This is just Luke's great-grandmother, an American like me, an heiress not like me, but who came over during the Gilded Age, and she was very unknown up until recently, and we'll talk you through that.
Which, of course, is that he was a very important politician of the time. He was First Lord of the Admiralty. He was in charge of the Navy during the time of the Revolutionary War. And in fact, some people think that it was his interest in getting all of the navy back to the Channel to protect England against France, that meant that we didn't have enough ships here guarding the colonies. So, you know, it could be said that he had a part to play in independence.
It used to be, previously was a medieval nunnery, and then you had the dissolution of the monasteries from King Henry VIII. He then gave Hinchingbrook to the Cromwells, and the Cromwells then sold it to the Montagues in 1620 to 1627. And so there had been 9 Earls of Sandwich who had lived at Hinchingbrook House up until 1955. And it's a wonderful, spectacular building, as you can see here. There's an extension to the left, those lovely arches. Unfortunately, after the Second World War, when property taxes became so high and it was near impossible to maintain these historic houses, that wing was knocked down, was pulled down. So luckily, Hinchingbrook still stands today, but it had to be sold, and it is now a grammar school.
And so after the war, when these things became unaffordable, he found it very hard to downsize. And this was an extraordinary letter that Julie found. I mean, one of the amazing things is she's going through all the archives and she's coming up with these extraordinary bits of family history. This is a letter from my great-grandfather to his son Victor, my grandfather. And he's berating him for failing to move with the times. And he says in this letter, "Why do you go on employing a host of gardeners? You must face the music like everyone else is doing. Otherwise, you are going to ruin John's future." And that's my father, John. And it's extraordinary to think of my great-grandfather saying these things. And so, you know, Hinchingbrook was one of many houses that suffered after the wars. This is an area that Julie's been studying, and so I'm going to give her the microphone back.
So in 1974, there was a plan to create an amazing exhibition at the V&A, which then came to fruition in 1975, and it was called The Destruction of the Country House. And it was quite bold for them to do something like this, because during after the First World War up into this period, over 1,000 houses across the UK, stately homes, manors, and castles had been pulled down. They had been lost, or they had been, 1,000 had been pulled down, over 1,000, but also many had been sold, like the Montague family home, being used as a hospital or as a school, or even, of course, as hotels. And so this incredible exhibition that the Victoria and Albert Museum put on in London had people weeping when they came. And it was the first time that I think the British public actually realized what had been happening to their own heritage. And this in turn led to changes in government, and various changes were made to the tax policy and funding schemes in order to stop the loss of so many cultural treasures.
This is now the coach house. It was a big agricultural building outside the house, and we've converted that for weddings. And this is a happy couple getting married at Mapperton, and this is another happy couple getting married at Mapperton. Do you remember that day? That was a good one. that was a little further back in time, but there we are.
The mobile service, there were wires everywhere all over the house. We're like, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. And so every Tuesday we would do a YouTube live tour of the house, or different pictures, or different pieces of furniture. And my in-laws would usually take center stage. I was just the presenter. Luke was there doing the camera work, and that was our youngest son. He was the sound recordist. And lo and behold, we thought, well, no one's going to turn up to this. We just went live, and lo and behold, hundreds and then thousands started to come live every Tuesday. And I think that's where several of you who we've spoken to today first found us. So thank you very much for that.
Just a quick show of hands. How many of you have actually seen us on YouTube? My goodness, that's quite a few. Thank you for watching. I mean, wow. But she really is a modern day Wonder Woman. I mean, the things that you do. She's an author, and she's a cook. She's She's a TV presenter and an amazing host of all of these programs. She can do that. Can anyone here do that? She was, for a while, London's top yoga instructor, and you know, there's the proof. She's an archivist and an academic. She's a cold water swimmer. She's an Italian speaker and chooses magnificent hats. She's a decorator. And she's a public speaker and educator. And she's also mother to our wonderful 4 children. And so I just really want a round of applause for my wife for being the brilliant person that she is.
Love Mapperton? Well, be sure to stay connected with us behind the scenes. Subscribe to the Mapperton Live newsletter for exclusive updates on what Luke and I are up to each week, whether it's uncovering historic treasures, restoring on the estate, or preparing for the season ahead. You'll be the first to hear about upcoming events, special projects, and daily life at Mapperton. Don't miss out. Sign up today and experience the magic of Mapperton from wherever you are.